Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Do Nothing broadcast for the Sunday night. What are we at? I guess we're December 1st. Wow. December 1st. Feels like December 1st here in Canada. Snowed in. I'm supposed to be back in Guelph, but we came to visit my folks this weekend, and big snowstorm blizzard outside, so we're here. And happy to be doing this with you guys. I'm glad I brought my computer. So, welcome, everybody. Good to see everybody tuning in. Is it starting there? Oh, yeah. Okay, it's starting. Australia, Colorado, nice. Vermont, California, Atlanta, Montreal. Wicked to see everybody. So, our do nothing thing. This is the most low tech, least amount of bells and whistles on the internet. Your YouTube broadcast, where we basically most of it spent just watching me sitting here with my eyes closed, guiding a very simple meditation. The do nothing spirit is really around making it accessible, easy, kind of a little bit making fun of the whole idea of even doing something in meditation, although you are doing something sometimes. And I thought I was trying to, kind of every week it becomes obvious what theme to work with. And in my case, I had my first parenting injury on I think Friday. This is ridiculous. My baby only weighs 12 pounds or something, but I had him in this ergo carrier, and I guess I had the carrier on wrong, and I was walking around with him all for a few hours, and I threw my back out. Didn't realize until like 24 hours later. So I'm like at a party yesterday, and I can barely move. I'm flat on my back and flat on my back today. So I thought I would say a little bit about a basic strategy for working with uncomfortable situations. And conditions in meditation, just as a general thing that's useful for people to know about. And then in the meditation, we'll keep it pretty much in the do nothing spirit, but I'll offer some prompts around that in case it so happens that you get itchy in the meditation or you're working with discomfort in some way. It's sort of useful to know how to work with this. In meditation, you basically got there's so many different ways to divide the pie and organize how you think about meditation strategies, but there's this basic freedom in meditation, this freedom around when we start to learn about our attention, which is this freedom to focus towards or focus away. This is how my teacher Shinzen used to talk about it a lot. Meaning at any time in life, if we're having a challenging time, we can focus into the challenge or we can deliberately choose to focus elsewhere. And often we don't even realize that. We don't recognize there's that much freedom in attention. We just think that the difficult situations are here. We're just getting hammered by it. We don't realize that there's some freedom within that situation to focus away from the challenging part or go directly into it, both of which are strategies that can help make it more manageable. The focusing away from it should be obvious, although it often isn't. And that's just this idea that there's only so much real estate in consciousness in a way. And whatever you pay attention to becomes the new center of gravity, and then your attention enlarges out in that space. And so you can literally have physical discomfort over here, or have some challenging situation, you can kind of focus away. And if you focus with enough concentration and fullness in that other direction, it's like that becomes your whole reality in a way, and that you don't even notice that other stuff anymore. It's not present in your experience. And that's a completely legitimate strategy. That's kind of more on the self-care front, knowing when you need to take care of yourself, how you need to be directing your attention. And then the focus towards strategy is basically saying, okay, this thing is here. Why don't I just try to work with it directly? And in that, the way to work intelligently with that is kind of more of a pendulation or a titration process, where you kind of focus towards, say, if you're working with an uncomfortable physical sensation or emotional sensation, you kind of go into it. You're staying in it a little bit, then you kind of move back out to a place where that feels more stable, where you feel more resourced. And then you might go back in again a little bit deeper this time. The thing with going towards something is it often spikes. So you got an intense physical situation or an emotional situation, you go into it, open up to it, and all of a sudden, boom, it's like much bigger than it was before. So that's why it's good to kind of go slow and just sort of titrate and go in a little bit and then come back out. And it's just something, why would you want to play with this? For lots of reasons. Like ultimately, part of the strategy in meditation is you're learning to be okay with whatever's going on, independent of conditions. So this is one way of, as you're beginning to build out your edge, developing more of a capacity to sit with uncomfortable situations, you build out your equanimity, you build out your equanimity, you build out your equanimity, so that in more and more kinds of situations, you're able to just sort of sit in a sort of centered way, whether not literally sitting, maybe sometimes literally sitting, but other times just in a kind of centered, present way in the middle of that uncomfortable situation, not running away from it, but facing it. That's a massively valuable skill in life. So that's a little bit, there's so much more I can say about all that, but what I thought with the meditation was guide a usual, simple kind of do nothing thing where you have the option just to sit and just enjoy being. You might work with a particular object, breath or sound. But if you do become conscious within that of some physical discomfort or something somewhere you're uncomfortable in your body or your emotional body, just be more deliberate about how you're going to work with that. Maybe it's just ignoring it, which is a focus away style, like just ignore it and continue to just be, or which is also developing background equanimity, or focus on something else. Or you might want to play a little bit with kind of going into it in the way that I described, like just feeling out its edges a little bit, moving into a little bit more, and then when you feel like you've had enough, swinging back. Ultimately, what we learn there is that so much of what's uncomfortable in a situation is not the physical pain itself. It's all the kind of tension and fighting and resistance around it that we have, that we carry with us. And that when you go into something in this accepting way, all those layers of resistance come off. And actually, we can find that the core challenging sensation itself is much more bearable. And that's a kind of game changer in life and practice, getting that learning curve. So I'm a little bit out of it today. I got some painkillers in my brain. Let's just do this meditation. It's good to see everybody. I'm glad you guys are here. I love this community. I got my bell. I brought it. And we're going to meditate. So 25 minutes from now, it's 8:08. I'll finish around 8:33. Okay. Hello, South Carolina. Nice. Okay. Also, everyone can explore having equanimity with the background. Baby crying, poor Eden's having a rough time in the back room there. All part of the equanimity. Okay, so as always with these meditations, if you have your own practice you like to go to, some comfortable home base, some go-to practice, that's terrific. You're welcome to always do that, or you can follow along with my guidance, these sort of like suggestions. For me, I like to start with a few deep breaths. Just breathe in, stretching up the spine. Nice long exhale as you breathe out. Nice long settling. That exhale, that breathing out is sort of the downward motion. So using it as an opportunity to relax the shoulders and the forehead and the cheeks and the jaw. Belly be soft. The hands too, they're soft. Shoulders. The idea is not to be braced anywhere, and this is how we begin to connect to our first, the equanimity piece here, which is sort of our main muscle group that we build in this do nothing practice, do nothing podcast, which is just the easygoing part in our experience, sort of this quality of openness, of not getting uptight if things aren't perfect in the room around us, if there's still sounds. Just sort of going, oh yeah, okay, I'm letting all that be there. So can you have this openness, this lack of bracing or fighting or tensing in your experience? And that's really the ground to build a practice from. And that a lot of people just like staying here. They stay in this open place, and it's kind of like they're just kicking back on the porch. They're just being. They don't need to do anything or control their experience in any way. And you definitely have permission to do that here. And for others, it's more like that's the backdrop. And in the foreground, it's just helpful to have some thing to pay attention to, some anchor to be a kind of home base, give a bit of structure to the practice. That might be the feeling of the breath. It might be the warmth in the hands, point in the body maybe. Or maybe sounds, like you're listening to a heat vent or sound of a fridge or a hum in the room, even listening to the quiet in the room. Sometimes an anchor is very tangible, this clear, tangible sensation. Other times it's more just like a direction. If you point your attention, say, to a point in the belly, you don't even feel anything there. You just hold it there. So choose. Choose something that works for you, and I'll come back in a few minutes with just a prompt here and there every few minutes, every 7 minutes or so. Good. So the eyes are closed, or maybe they're open at half mast. And the basic practice is just the sitting and sort of enjoying your own company, and company or community, just being accepting of all the sounds, the imperfections, the feelings, sensations, thoughts. It's all allowed to be there. And then there may be also, in addition, just paying attention to the breath or some object, some sound. And if it so happens you notice there's some discomfort somewhere, like a body discomfort or itches, or just being clear that a lot of us, when we notice this is already happening, that we're doing it, kind of focus away. We just let it be there. We don't let it bother us. We're more into this larger envelope or container of just being when we're paying attention to something else deliberately. And that's super legit. And there's also this opportunity to kind of feel into it a little bit, notice if there's any way in which we're fighting with it a little bit or bracing against it, opening, seeing what happens if we kind of move into it just a little. And then maybe swinging back to our home base. It's just something to explore sometime. May not be the thing to explore here, but knowing that that's an option, certainly for longer sits too. And that way we begin to expand our edge of what we're capable of working with. We're able to sit with more and more discomfort, more and more not knowing, which is also uncomfortable. Anyway, back to meditation. Good. If you notice yourself getting distracted or going off to the daydreams or something, you just notice that happening and come back to your home base or to your simple feeling of being. Sometimes it's not so much what we're focusing on as what we're choosing to not focus on, which is to not deliberately feed the thinking and the daydreaming just for this short meditation. Instead, paying attention to something else and sinking into it a little bit. Okay, just a couple minutes left. I'd like to finish with a little kind of loving kindness practice, or some kind of practice that's about deliberately cultivating a bit of positivity. Let's do a really simple one tonight. Just picture somebody in your life that you like. It could be an animal, could be a kid, could be a parent, friend, family member, coworker, anyone. Just someone you like. It could be someone complicated or someone really uncomplicated. Or rather, the relationship could be complicated or uncomplicated. And just picture this person happy. This person, this animal, this kid. They're smiling, they're happy. And just kind of appreciate that for a bit. See what it feels like to connect to that intention to wish them well. Maybe you say, may you be happy, may you be well, or some phrase that feels like it kind of summarizes your feelings there. And the feeling is just an intention to want the best for them. It's not about stoking a particular sentiment. Just noticing what it feels like to want the best for somebody you care about. May you be well. Okay. Awesome. It's nice. I got my mom meditating over here, which I've never seen her do, but I promised I wouldn't show her in the camera. And Sarah just came back. Humanistic bow. Nice, Andrew. Didn't have too much I wanted to say, but I thought maybe just out of curiosity, if folks are interested, I had a lot of back pain in this one. And I just thought I'd maybe share what I did to work with it, because it was kind of interesting, kind of worked. And it's sort of it kind of, to me, is a decent summary of how it can often go. If you do ever have a situation where there's some discomfort, I kind of first just dropped into the regular do nothing thing and just kind of accepting my situation and just not really having any meditation at all, or object at all, just sort of being. And that was a kind of letting the discomfort be there, but not really doing anything about it, or just being in it. And that already was a kind of acceptance and made it more bearable. And then for the last 15 minutes, I decided to work with it. So I went into directly the feeling of sort of this radiating ache out the side here. And I just sort of felt around the edges. And as soon as I opened up to it, it got worse. And I was like, great. So now it was really hurting. I thought, oh, great, that backfired. But that often happens. And then I just stayed with it. And what I started to notice was that there was the thing itself, the discomfort, and then there was this sort of like bracing around it. Like my body was like, yeah, you're kind of like this. I was kind of trying to protect myself, like when I'm walking a stiff way, to not feel it. And that bracing was, maybe it was protecting it a bit, but it also seemed to be making it a bit worse. So as I kind of went into it, I could feel the parts around it start to relax. And then the whole thing just started feeling way better. So it sort of worked. So that's kind of a typical thing that could go down if you ever have physical discomfort. You can work with it that way. Great to be with everybody. Like I said, apologies. I'm not quite as, I'm feeling a little, I've had a few ibuprofens, maybe a few too many, but even so, you can meditate on ibuprofen. I'm going to take off. I think I got to go give my wife some backup there. I don't know if you can hear little Eden, my little dude, kind of crying in the background. Kent with the itches. Nice dude. All right, guys. Well, good to hang out. I'll probably see you next week. I think I'm going to be down in Massachusetts, so I'll see if I can tune in on the Sunday night in Massachusetts. I'll make sure it'll work. If for whatever reason it won't work, we'll send out an email around that. But awesome, guys. Have a great night.